Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the Parental Style series, and I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Mariam Anwaar, and this is
Shaheer, Jawaid.
Jawaid. Shaheer
Jawaid. I mean, the name thing has become a thing.
Yes. So we're both associate clinical psychologists in Trauma Release and Wellness Center. This is the first episode, which is developing the grit and resilience of children. And we're gonna start out by first understanding what resilience or grit is for a child, or just the word grit itself. It basically means that when we all fall down, we have the ability to get up, right? Of course, the world is going to give a lot of problems, and we're going to be, run over by a lot of problems. But then we tend to get back up. That the action of getting back up, or even the thought of just coming back, is grit and resilience. Resilience towards problems. That's not going to affect my core, right? And grit is I will come back and deal with it, right?
So resilience is more like fall 7 times, get up 8. Does that have something to do with it?
Resilience is more like I'm permeable, or I can take in the problems. Yes, it's going to shake me, but I can take it in, right? I can absorb it. And once I absorb it, just imagine a shock wave.
Okay.
Right? If there's a blast, there's going to be a shock wave, and I'm going to get pushed back, right? Now, my grit would be I would come back up and then deal with my situation. Resilience would be that the shakiness, the trauma inside, right? I will try and calm it down.
So is it more like how Rocky Balboa said in this movie? It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you get hit and still continue to go forward.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But that's from Rocky?
Yeah, that's from Rocky.
I'm gonna watch that movie now. That's actually a good statement. If you could just repeat that to our audience.
So what I said was, it's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and then still continue to move on.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yes.
Something along those lines.
That is great, basically. All right. Now, how to develop that in a child? Because as adults, we learn through life, but then we want to teach this to our children, who will be slowly entering the bigger world.
Yeah.
Well, to do that, you have two aspects, or you can say two components to developing grit in a child. One is expectation. Expectation simply meaning that there is a goal for your child, that you want your child to become somebody who would deal with their own problems, all right? Of course, as a very young child, they can't deal with them, so you do it for them, but still, you have this goal in mind that they will develop solutions for their problems with time. That is basically having an expectation as to where your child is going to be, right? Now, how to get them there? That would be through a second component known as support. All right. Support is giving guidance. All right. Giving direction to a child. Now, there's a way of giving a direction to a child, because mostly that has been observed is that parents usually grab their child's hand and give them direction. Right. What you instead would want to do is just put a hand on their back and just push them forward. What's the difference here? The difference is that when you take the hand of the child forward, you're basically taking their rights of exploration, or testing out things, right? You just want to say, यहाँ हाथ डालो, यहाँ पर जाओ, ठीक है? ये काम करो. They cannot develop resilience or grit if they just don't know, if they don't explore their environment. So you're going to have to give that space of a child exploring their environment. And to do that, you just have to take their shoulder or give them a push from the back, or just move their shoulder. This is showing that the right direction, and the push is, if they feel scared, they can always say, that's okay. You can go forward.
More like daaf to achhe hote hain.
Sorry?
More like daaf to achhe hote hain. Just like you let them explore, self-excel guide.
More or less like that, because क्योंकि in their journey दाग तो लगेंगे, for sure लगेंगे. They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna fall and they're gonna get some spots. But they should know how to wash it out. Now either you can wash it for them, or they can just try and wash it for themselves, and you can give the direction, metaphorically speaking. Right? So these are the two main components of developing a child's grit. That is expectation and support. Now, Shaheer will tell you the parenting style based on these two components. What kind of parenting styles will we get based on the what you can say the extremities or the grid of these two components? And to do that, we will share a screen with you.
Okay. So yeah, let me share the screen first.
Yeah, the share screen.
Okay. So now we have this on the screen as well. So as Mariam mentioned, कि जो है कहते हैं we have two main components to all the parenting styles. जो भी parents होते हैं, apart from love that they have for the children, there are two main क्या कहते हैं things that they also reflect on the behavior. Is one is support and the other is expectation. So yeah, so यहाँ पे if you can watch it on your screen, यहाँ पे नीचे लिखा होगा authoritative. What authoritative or authoritarianism is a way of parenting style that some parents or most parents adopt. And वो होता क्यों है कि जैसे हमारी मेंशन किया कि दो मेन एस्पेक्ट है सपोर्ट और एक्सपेक्टेशन. कुछ पेरेंट्स बहुत ज्यादा सपोर्ट कर रहे होते हैं, कुछ पेरेंट्स बहुत ज्यादा एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे होते हैं, कुछ दोनों कर रहे होते हैं. So how does a parent become an authoritarian parent? Is when that parent has lots of expectation from their child but have zero support. सही है. तो क्या होता है कि वो पेरेंट बहुत अथॉरिटेटिव बन जाता है. What does this mean? इसकी एग्जांपल इसी तरह से होगी that a father is wanting their children के उनके बच्चे जो हैं they always score 100 in every exam or every test है, उन्हें हमेशा 100 out of 100 आना चाहिए. तो that is what expectation. कि मेरी इतनी high expectation है अपने बच्चों से कि मैं जो है बोलूँ कि तुम्हारे 100 out of 100 आना चाहिए. But उस 100 out of 100 आने के लिए am I giving them the right support? Am I teaching them? Am I catering to their needs? क्या उनको environment चाहिए जहाँ पे वो उस तरह पढ़ सकें कि जो है they score 100 out of 100, या फिर क्या कहते हैं are they even understanding the concepts of the subject? तो अगर वो support नहीं होगा and सिर्फ expectation होगी कि बस मैं 100% क्यों नहीं आया तुम्हारे, मैं तुम्हें जो है सारी तुम अच्छे स्कूल में डाले, ये किया वो किया, but that parent is not giving the support himself. So that parent or that parenting style becomes authoritarian parenting style. उसके अंदर क्या होता है कि आपकी expectation बहुत ज़्यादा होती है और आपकी support नहीं होती. सही है. So this is what authoritative parenting style is.
So अगर मैं इस तरह कहूँ कि authoritative parents वो होते हैं, वो बताते कि क्या करना है, लेकिन
कैसे करना है ये नहीं होता. क्या करना है is there, but कैसे करना है, कैसे उस point तक पहुँचना है, that is not.
कैसे would be support
किस तरह से है,
expectation क्या करना है.
Exactly. इसके अलावा the second parenting style that is almost opposite to this is the enmeshed parenting style. इसके अंदर क्या होता है, इसके अंदर बिल्कुल वही चीज हो रही थी लेकिन उल्टे उसके अंदर कि इसके अंदर सपोर्ट बहुत ज्यादा होती है और एक्सपेक्टेशन कुछ भी नहीं होती. So what happens here is कि आप बिल्कुल जैसे बच्चे को हर चीज स्पून फीड करके जो है you are spoon feeding him everything, and as you mentioned कि जब आप उसको बच्चे को एक्सप्लोर करने का मौका नहीं दोगे ऑन देयर ओन, तो दैट पर्सन विल नॉट बी एबल टू बिकम हिमसेल्फ. सही है. क्योंकि उसके लिए जिंदगी भर उसको जैसे कहते हैं ना, हर चीज सोने की चांदी की चम्मच में मिली है, हर चीज जो है कहते हैं इट्स ऑलरेडी देयर फॉर हिम. सो उस इंसान का या उस बच्चे का अपना कोई कैरेक्टर, अपनी कोई लाइकिंग, अपनी कोई हॉबीज डेवलप नहीं होती, बिकॉज दैट पर्सन इज ऑलवेज वेरी 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 डिपेंडेंट ऑन देयर पेरेंट और ऑन देयर एडल्ट. सही है. तो इसमें क्या हो रहा है, यू आर ओनली गिविंग देम सपोर्ट एंड आपसे कोई एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं है. बच्चे से एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं होती कि मतलब मैं बस तुम्हें जो है कहते हैं हाँ तुम सही हो, तुम ठीक कर रहे हो, तुम सही कर रहे हो, देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग फॉर विद यू, और ये हर चीज यू आर ऑलवेज देयर फॉर योर चाइल्ड बट यू आर नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग हिम टू डू एनीथिंग ऑन योर ओन. सो दिस इज अगेन नॉट अ वेरी हेल्दी पेरेंटिंग स्टाइल. क्योंकि इसमें क्या होता है कि यू आर टू इन्वेस्ट इन द चाइल्ड एंड चाइल्ड इज नॉट एबल टू डेवलप हिज ओन पर्सनालिटी.
ठीक है. इस तरह भी देखा जा सकता है कि कोई फ्यूचर एज सच प्लान नहीं, मतलब एक तो होता है बहुत ज़्यादा फ्यूचर प्लानिंग करना, बट एक बैलेंस पर्सपेक्टिव होता है कि फ्यूचर में मैं अपने बच्चे को कैसे देखना चाहती हूँ. So I mean, not having that vision in mind.
Exactly. Support है, expectation नहीं. Vision नहीं है. Expectation is related to vision.
Exactly.
So these are the two opposite authoritarian and enmeshed parenting style. इसके अलावा we also have neglect. Neglect is like the extreme case के उसके अंदर ना support है, expectation है, बस बच्चे को छोड़ दिया on their own. That child is literally neglected. कहीं ना उसके पास कोई support है, he does not have क्या कहते हैं कोई helpful वो नहीं है कि he does not have any adult to look up to, and the same child does not has any expectation as well क्योंकि it's like the parenting figure is absent. वो physically तो शायद present हो उनकी life के अंदर, माँ बाप शायद हो तो सही, लेकिन they are too immersed in their own, the parents are too immersed in their own, you know, problems and in their own lives that they do not have time or the will to give क्या कहते हैं support or expectation to their child. ठीक है. So these are the three parenting styles. इसके अलावा what could be an ideal way of parenting is कि support and expectation, as you mentioned, there are two very important aspects. But क्या जरूरी क्या है इसके अंदर कि दोनों जो है एक certain amount में, right amount के अंदर अगर support और expectation हो तो that leads to wise parenting. क्या मतलब वो इस बात का कि I have some expectations from my child. ठीक है, हम अगर academics की बात लेके चलें, and let's not go in some other example. अगर हम academics की बात, या easy example, academics की बात लेके चलें तो academics में I have an expectation कि यार my child should score good marks. सही है, उसके अंदर जो है कहते हैं he should be in the top 20 students of the class. ठीक है, this is my expectation from my child. Could be less. Expectation आपके ऊपर डिपेंड करती है. मेरी expectation ये है कि मेरा बच्चा जो है क्लास के top 20% के अंदर हो. So what am I going to do to get my child into those to that 20%? इसके मैं उसको support भी accordingly provide करूँगा कि I would make sure that if my child is getting to understand the concepts, अगर कर रहा है तो सही है, नहीं कर रहा तो क्यों नहीं कर रहा, उसकी वजह जानने की कोशिश करूँगा. So I am giving him the support. If अगर उसको नहीं समझ आ रहा क्लास में तो I'll get him another teacher, I'll teach him myself. That will be my support. सही है. I will give him an environment. I will try to give him an environment जहाँ पे वो बैठ के सुकून से पढ़ सके. He has all the adequate resources वगैरह वगैरह. So this is a mixture of expectation as well, because you have an expectation. अगर आप सिर्फ support दे दोगे उसको, आप उसको सारा एनवायरनमेंट दे दोगे, टीचर भी दे दोगे, लेकिन आपकी एक्सपेक्टेशन ही नहीं, बच्चा क्यों पढ़ेगा. सही है. हाँ, अगर उसके अंदर बहुत रेयर केस सिनेरियो होता है कि कुछ स्टूडेंट्स के अंदर खुद पढ़ने की बहुत चाहत होती है, दे वांट टू डू समथिंग, वो अलग चीज है, उस सिनेरियो में शायद पढ़ ले. बट मैंने अगर उसको सिर्फ सपोर्ट दी, आई हैव गिवन इन द बेस्ट टीचर्स, द बेस्ट स्कूल, द बेस्ट रिसोर्सेज, द बेस्ट एनवायरनमेंट, लेकिन आई हैव जीरो एक्सपेक्टेशन फ्रॉम हिम, so that child would be like more likely not to study. Like उसके लिए उसको पता है कि मैं पास में फेल हूँ, किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता. ठीक है, एक्सपेक्टेशन ही नहीं है किसी की, so you wouldn't study. But if I have certain amount of expectation कि हाँ you need to do well in your exam, because academics at some point they do matter थोड़ा बहुत. Yeah, I mean that you could differ with it, लेकिन at least एक certain level की education में. Yeah. तो जो है क्या कहते हैं उसके अंदर क्या है कि सपोर्ट एंड एक्सपेक्टेशन अगर एक राइट अमाउंट के अंदर हो तो दैट इज कॉल्ड वाइज पेरेंटिंग, एंड इट इज वेरी बेनिफिशियल एंड वेरी हेल्पफुल इन डेवलपिंग अ चाइल्ड्स ग्रिट एंड रेजिलियंस. So this is basically the whole structure.
मुझे एक चीज याद है इससे.
Yeah.
It is a very good memory when it came to wise parenting. My mother was an authoritative parent. If मैं उनको categorize करूँ.
Authoritative parent is again for our audience.
हाँ, expectation ज़्यादा थी मुझसे in terms of पढ़ाई. This is around before 9th grade, right? From 5 onwards. Okay, from 3 onwards, जब से I think bookish में आई हूँ, उसके बाद से expectation ज़्यादा high थी. Support, she couldn't give much support क्योंकि obviously इतने साल हो गए हमने पढ़े हुए, ठीक है, and obviously with time curriculums भी बहुत change हुए, especially after 2000, ठीक है. तो जाहिर सी बात है वो एक हद तक support कर सकती थी, but she couldn't give much support. So then I think out of expectation from her as well that she should want her kids to be educated, तो मुझसे expectation ज़्यादा रखी थी कि मैं अच्छा पढ़ूँ.
You're the older?
No, I'm the youngest.
Okay.
मेरे बड़े वाले अच्छे पढ़ते थे.
Okay, so that adds the expectation as well.
Of course, that
Yeah.
adds an expectation. और मैं बुक से भागती थी. मुझे बुक्स जो है anxiety रहते थे. I remember 6th grade science density का chapter था. समझ नहीं आ रहा था and I was just crying. Right? But at that moment, my mom gave me emotional support. And I like to add with you. Support is not just financial resources, that's also physical and emotional support. My mom not only was there in 6th grade, मैं फिर भी struggle करती रही, but in 9th grade especially, जब मुझे maths में इतनी मुश्किल होती थी, that's when she gave her full emotional support. She sort of came from authoritative to wise parenting. I don't know what was the process behind it. Maybe something she might have learned, or
maybe she had attended this kind of workshop.
I doubt it. Okay. She didn't, attend any sort of workshop because she was a housewife totally. But I think with time, realization bhi aati hai. So I remember she gave me the emotional support that Mariam studies are a problem, yes, for you, but they can be overcome. And I specifically remember her example by saying that humans have done a lot in this world. Neil Armstrong has gone to the moon. कितना बड़ा problem था going to the moon. But the problem क्या हमने सोचा नहीं था.
Yeah, like it could be beyond expectation.
But even when we dreamed it, it became a problem as to how to fulfill it. और फिर fulfill कर लिया. And I remember we were sitting in the kitchen. अगले दिन I said, maths is not going to be hard because I knew math was logical. I just had to get the logic right. Once I got the logic right, I aced it. उसके बाद से I loved maths. और फिर teacher का भी काफी हाथ था उसमें. I have to give him the credit as well. Yeah. But this actually, all of this reminded me how with time, my mother shifted from authoritative to wise parenting by just having an expectation, which was a healthy expectation. पढ़ाई तो वैसे ज़रूरी है, but she also gave me emotional support. If not giving me educational support, वो अपनी knowledge नहीं दे पाए, लेकिन कम से कम अपनी feelings मुझे दे पाए.
Yes, you're right. We missed out on the emotional support part, but I guess that you explained it very well.
हाँ, I just remembered it. So this was the whole.
So, like, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we move forward, I have a question. Okay, let's say that I'm a parent, okay, and I'm watching this conversation, I'm watching this video, and मुझे suddenly realize होता है कि अच्छा, I am an authoritative parent. So या फिर I am a parent that क्या कहते हैं adopts to the neglecting style of parenting. So पहले तो मेरे लिए accept करना मुश्किल होगा. So because who would want to accept I neglect my child.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, if I have क्या कहते हैं मेरे अंदर मसाइल इतने हैं, I have financial troubles, I have emotional problems, I have XYZ sort of problems. So what do I do to help my child? Because I don't think there's anything that I can do.
That's definitely a good question, and at least lower middle class families economic जो crisis गुजर रहे हैं, जाहिर सी बात है उसकी वजह से काफी financial और emotional problems आ रहे होंगे. So that's the thing about problems. They will come and go in your life. It is given. Financial problems will come and go. पैसे कल आएंगे, परसों चले जाएंगे. घर के मसले आएंगे, परसों वो चले जाएंगे. Job related problems आएंगे, चले जाएंगे. ठीक है? I read in a storybook that job work is lifelong. इसको आप छोड़ नहीं सकते कहीं भी. ठीक है? उसके problems आएंगे, जाएंगे. But बच्चे नहीं आएंगे, वो वापस जाएंगे. ठीक है? बच्चे ने एक दफा बड़े हो जाना है और फिर बड़े होकर बस वो निकल जाएंगे. ठीक है? उन्हें वापस नहीं आना. So it's very important कि time निकाला जाए. Time ऐसा निकाला जाए जिसमें it's just the parent, it's just you and the child. Plus, nothing else matters. No financial problem, no external family matter, no politics, nothing matters. It's just myself and the child, and just be there. उस time frame के अंदर सिर्फ जो connection बनती है is beautiful.
I mean, yeah, it's easier to say.
Of course it's easier to say.
It's easier to say than it's easier said than done. Because, like, let's say, if I have been a neglectful parent all my life, I can't expect my child कि मैं एक दिन उसके पास जाऊँ and I try to spend my time with him and क्या कहते हैं he'll be all okay with it.
Right.
So like what do I do then?
हाँ. अब हर grid में जो है वो changes अलग होंगे. जैसे in your case है ना neglect देखा जाए जाहिर सी बात है एकदम से आप बच्चे की जिंदगी में आएगा वो भी घबरा जाएगा.
You'll be like,
are you okay? अब क्या हो गया तबीयत ठीक है सर? देखिएगा बुखार आ रहा है तो नहीं हो गया. ठीक है. So you're gonna have to go in very slowly क्या? अब जैसे I think the first contact is जो भी बच्चे के favorite pastime है, drawing, gaming, कुछ भी हो, anything that's favorite, वहाँ से पहले enter करें. ठीक है? Because when he or she sees कि आप उसके task में share करना चाह रहे हैं, तो फिर वो ज़रा initially वो ज़रा close रहेंगे, and you're gonna have to give that time. वो एकदम से नहीं खुलेंगे. Initially आपको close नजर आएंगे. For example, जैसे अगर बच्चे को coloring पसंद है, ठीक है? आप सिर्फ आके बैठ जाएं. कलर एकदम से मत करना शुरू करें, बस बैठ जाएं. वो थोड़ा सा close रहेगा कि चीजें भी हटाएगा कि क्या कर रही हैं, ठीक है? फिर आप खुद अपना भी पेपर ले लें, उससे पूछ लें कि shall I use this color? और आप खुद कलर साथ करते हैं. It's all about energy. जैसे उसे पता चलेगा कि energy उसे मिले, open energy मिल रही है, तो फिर वो web, उसको कहते हैं ना एक web जो है form होना शुरू हो जाएगा, या spider web, उसमें एक जरा connection बनना शुरू हो जाएगी. Then next day take it a step further. Okay. Drawing में आगे और भी draw करना शुरू कि communication लेकर आ जाए. This is for a neglectful parent, especially जब वो इतने disappear हुए हैं फिर एकदम से आ गए. This आहिस्ता करते हुए. Authoritative में भी more or less similar, is just obviously tone and body language में बहुत ख्याल रखना पड़ेगा. देखिए authoritative parent में क्या होता है, सीधा जो है ना face में जो है वो जरा गुस्से के निशान होते हैं या clenched हो रहे होते हैं, ये जिससे बहुत ज़्यादा tight हुआ होता है बच्चे के साथ. और tone is very very important. ये चीज़ होती है कि इधर आओ, एक होते हैं बच्चा आ जाओ, कितना फर्क है, आ जाओ बेटा, ठीक है, कितना फर्क है tone में. तो सर tone, start with tone. If you don't want to start with body, start with tone. Tone जैसी mild होती जाएगी वैसे ही body भी loose होती हो जाएगी.
That can be like another topic कि हम जो है कहते हैं how to make your child trust you.
हाँ, that could be. Yes, depending on what parental style is. Not even that, it was principle बन सकता है कि किस तरह बच्चे का trust.
How to develop a healthy relationship with your children.
Because अब यहाँ भी बड़ा ज़रूरी है ये कहना कि trust ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जो है ना वो हमेशा के लिए रहना. Yes, when it's born, it's 100% trust. But with time, trust जो है कम होता जाता है.
कम होता है, ज़्यादा होता है. It's like a cycle. Cycle or like a up and down.
Up and down. क्योंकि इधर वो ज़्यादा होगा trust या कम होगा, बीच में नहीं रहेगा. But we have to take things slow, because slow is smooth.
Smooth is
fast. Exactly.
So what else is there? I mean, so अभी तक हमने क्या बात की है कि how to develop क्या कहते हैं grit and resilience. हमें ये पता चल गया कि what is grit and resilience. Where we talked about the Rocky movie. It's not about how hard you get hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and then move on. We talked about that, and we talked about parenting styles that help to develop the child's grit and resilience.
Exactly, and wise parenting is the best place to be to develop a child's grit and resilience, because you do have a future for the child.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. At the same time, you give support in such a way that the child also gets to explore and you also get to explore as well. देखिए ज़रूरी नहीं जो आपकी फ्यूचर में जो पिक्चर बनना है जैसे बच्चा डॉक्टर ही बनेगा, ज़रूरी नहीं वो वहाँ जाए. Just look at him day to day or look at her day to day. कहाँ पर वो जा रहे हैं, कहाँ वहीं उसकी skills पता चल जाएंगे. How they basically walk around their environment. Okay? वहाँ से पता चल जाएगा कि उसकी सिग्नेचर क्या है, सिग्नेचर स्ट्रेंथ क्या है. आई रिमेम्बर अ चाइल्ड क्लाइंट 7 साल का आया था, हमारी थेरेपी रूम थी. वो मैं थेरेपी वाला कुछ नहीं कर रही थी, वहाँ सारे खिलौने होते हैं प्ले रूम में. I just left him there, and I was just sitting on the side. मैं कुछ थोड़ा बहुत उसके साथ कम्युनिकेट कर रही थी, लेकिन वो बच्चे जो है ना साथ साथ एक्सप्लोर भी करते थे। उसने पीछे शेल्फ भी देखी, खिलौने भी देखे, ड्रॉर्स भी खोली, फिर करते करते उससे फिर कुछ चीज़ें बिखरी हुई थी, उसने सॉर्ट करना शुरू कर दिया। There was this doctor, which you can say doctor kit. उसके अंदर किट के अंदर जो है ना वो शेप्स बने हुए होते हैं जिसमें आप टूल्स वापस अंदर फिट करते हैं पजल की तरह, ठीक है। He started placing things back and putting them at their rightful place, like a piece of puzzle. मुझे ये समझ में आ गया उसको puzzles बहुत पसंद है. He basically likes putting things back in order, which comes in organization. That child is relatively organized. उसकी बस skill develop करनी थी. प्रॉब्लम तो कुछ और थी, बट उसी के जरिए से फिर प्रॉब्लम को भी एड्रेस किया जा सकता है. माय पॉइंट बीइंग, दिस इज हाउ यू ऑब्जर्व अ चाइल्ड.
Building upon that, I have another question, and like I think this is the last question from my side. If you don't have anything to add, what about challenges that a child faces? कि मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे जैसे एक बच्चा पैदा होता है एंड दे ग्रो अप, देयर आर सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ चैलेंजेस दैट दे फेस. कि सबसे पहले स्कूल गोइंग इज अ चैलेंज, ठीक है. स्कूल में जब जाना स्टार्ट होता है वो चैलेंज होता है. फिर वहाँ पे दे हाउ दे मेक फ्रेंड्स, एकेडमिक्स, बुलिंग एज यू मेंशन, एग्जाम्स, इस तरह के. फिर बाद में जाके दूसरे मसाइल स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं, चैलेंजेस आ जाते हैं, मसाइल चैलेंजेस. सो एज अ पेरेंट, how to deal with the challenges that your child is going through? Because challenges build resilience, I guess.
Yes, definitely they build resilience. But even before that, this is a non-therapist person I talked to back when I was living in Rome for 6 months. वहाँ amazing mother, और मुझे उनसे एक चीज सीखने को मिली थी. कहते when the child starts talking, start communicating right there. Communication in the sense वो अपनी फीलिंग्स बयान करे, अपनी एक्सपीरियंसेस बयान करे, डीपर टू एंड फ्रो कम्युनिकेशन, ठीक है. इससे कम से कम ये कि कनेक्शन भी होती है, और फिर ये अगर वो प्रॉब्लम में आ गया वो सीधा आपके पास
एबल टू टॉक टू यू.
एग्जैक्टली. क्योंकि देखिए ऑब्वियसली इतना छोटा बच्चा जो है चैलेंजेस खुद नहीं फेस कर सकता, आपको गाइडेंस सपोर्ट देनी पड़ेगी, ठीक है. लेकिन having that and also giving the space to the child for exploring, उसके लिए सिर्फ जो आपने वेब कनेक्ट करते हैं या what you can say जो तार कनेक्ट करनी है वही कम्युनिकेशन की. Once you start communicating to the child, you will start going out to his school, देखेगा प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है, गुड टच बैड टच के बारे में भी आएगा, उसमें वो भी कम्युनिकेट करेंगे आप, ठीक है. जैसे जैसे चैलेंजेस आते रहेंगे पीयर का, टीचर का, वैसे वैसे आते साथ ही आपको बताएंगे, और फिर आपने भी उसे गाइड करना है, ठीक है. इफ थिंग्स डोंट वर्क आउट, जो कि कुछ चीजों में जैसे कि ना बच्चा आपके लिए मॉम इट्स नॉट वर्किंग, मैं और मसले में आ, सो लेट्स ट्राई अनदर थिंग, राइट. दूसरे ऑप्शंस भी हैं. बेसिकली कम्युनिकेशन इज एवरीथिंग.
Communication is step
1 for if you building block is communication. Foundation, everything. You mean it's without which the relation is going to be pretty.
So what you're saying is that if you have the communication value foundation, the child is able to talk you through जब भी कोई open communication है, and whenever the child is going through a challenge or कोई इस तरह का issue होता है, so they are able to talk to you, and if you are a wise parent, so you give them expectation and support as well,
exactly,
which in the end helps to build the resilience and build the child.
Expectation of being a good person and support on how to be a good person in a society.
Yeah.
So I guess that's about it.
Yeah, I think
thank you so much for joining us, all of you, and we'll see you in the next episode, right?
And that is going to be about family roles.
Yes, that's going to be about family roles. So we'll see you then, inshallah, right?
Right.
All right. Allah Hafiz, take care.